our discussion. Now we'll start with the Q&A session. And the first question is to Mr. Saurabh ji. I want to explore the challenges in sourcing iron ore and other raw materials for sponge iron production. And what are your long-term procurement plans? Additionally, do you believe that sufficient actions are being implemented to enhance the quality of these raw materials through beneficiation?
Good afternoon, everyone. I think he started with the most difficult question right in the opening, and I'll try to do justice to it from our perspective. So basically, we at Amalgam Steels, we try to complete the integration by starting with the mining of iron ore, and we go on to sponge iron making and then melting through the induction furnace routes, and also onward to make the final structural products. So I look at this entire market from by wearing different hats. One as a miner, the second as a sponge iron producer, and the third as a steel maker. So what I would say is that the most difficult hat to wear is the one for iron ore mining. And iron ore mining is a subject which has been very dear to us, in the sense that we've been doing this for the last 54 years. So what I see going forward is that there are going to be two segments to this whole thing. That is the auctioned mine and the non-auctioned leases, which continue in Orissa mostly up to 2030. And the rest I'm sure, in certain geographies even beyond that. But what happens distinctly is that most of these auction leases are at a premium of more than 100%, which necessarily means that the offtake is for the captive consumption of the iron ore. So largely all the iron ore that we produce is captively used at our plants. And hence the supply side for the auction mines for the clusters like let's say Raipur or Jalna is going to be very, very tight because of the supplies in iron ore from the auction mine owners. But as far as the government companies are concerned, as even in the morning, Lloyd's Prabhakaranji has said that it is a very important element that the capacities should have to come from the likes of the public sector units like NMDC, from OMCs of the world. And I think if we were to really ramp up the capacities, the central function for all these companies, the PSUs, will be to ramp up the production. And I think OMC is doing that in the right direction, and so is NMDC. NMDC has a plan to go up to 100 million by 2030, is what they've come in public and said that. And of course, if that happens, then we will be in tune to meet our targets in terms of the entire the 2030 scenario for steel making of 300 million. Because as far as last year's figures are concerned, I would say that we produced about 280 million tons of iron ore as a country, out of which we exported, let's say, about 35 million. And maybe about 15 million tons of pellets was exported. I think, the Bigment people are watching me carefully if my figures are right or not. So I would, ask for their inputs as well. But what I understand is that if we were to work on beneficiation, I think you brought up the subject, that if we were to work on beneficiation as a subject, we would need the ore to be consumed in India. There is no way that you can have exports as well as have beneficiation at the same time, because largely what is being exported from here is grades starting from 50 to 62, let's say 58. So 50 to 58 is the band that we are exporting, and that is exactly what we need to beneficiate. So the only way to kickstart this process of making the ore available in the country is by adapting beneficiation measures, which a lot of the companies now I see are doing very, very diligently and correctly. And there are technologies available which can beneficiate, and we are doing it as well as a company, where we are beneficiating from 34, 35 grades to a 64, 65, level. And, I would say that it is going to be the future of the country, and how we play this out, it depends on the policy makers that whether we will be allowed to, export something which can be easily beneficiable and used in the country rather than sending it to our Chinese not so good friends. So yeah, I would say I would invite more comments from the other panelists on the same subject, and we could make it an interactive session as well.
Would you like to add to that, or I can continue to the next question? Thank you, Saurabh ji, for the.
Mentioned about export. Export is happening because there are no consumers in India for that. Like let's say Goa, for example, on the mic. You talked about exports. I believe export is happening, for example, Goa, only because there are no consumers for those products. So once beneficiation starts, the exports would stop. I'm pretty,
Yeah, so
pretty
it's
sure
a
of
chicken
that.
and egg story.
It's a chicken and egg story.
yeah, so
but beneficiation is
the order of the day.
you're working on it.
Yeah, so I think we both are already working on projects which are, probably going to add a lot of capacities.
A lot
going
of
forward.
capacity. Otherwise, that product will be wasted.
Absolutely.